Hey everyone. So I want to talk a little bit about Mark Zuckerberg and Meta and their recently announced changes to their content moderation policies. And I want to talk about what I think is the bigger problem in all this. Now, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this because a lot has already been said about it, but I think there's some important things that need to be said. Now, let's begin with what is obvious to everybody. This is Mark Zuckerberg completely selling out to this incoming authoritarian thug president of ours. Now, this has been a pattern for Mark Zuckerberg. As you will recall, he recently went down to Mar-a-Lago, like Joe and Mika, and kissed Donald Trump's ass. And immediately thereafter announced that Meta would be donating $1 million to Donald Trump's inaugural fund. Now, Mark Zuckerberg is not the only rich guy, company head, who's been doing this, cozying up to Donald Trump, kissing his ass. A lot of them are doing it. In fact, they are falling all over themselves to get in line. They want to be at the head of the line. And this is a real problem. Now, in announcing their policy changes, Mark Zuckerberg put up this video of himself explaining the changes. And in that video, he made sure to kiss Donald Trump's ass. And all of his minions, who he has sent out to, various news outlets to explain these changes, they've all been saying the exact same thing. In fact, I want to play you a little clip here, very short. This is one of Mark Zuckerberg's minions. I can't remember this guy's name. He's some big muckety-muck of the Meta Corporation. Anyways, he was on Fox News explaining their policy changes. And I want to play this little part so you can hear how he kisses Donald Trump's ass. So let me pull this up here. All right, listen to this.
But there's also no question that there has been a change over the last 4 years. We saw a lot of societal and political pressure all in the direction of more content moderation, more censorship. And we've got a real opportunity now. We've got a new administration and a new president coming in who are big defenders of free expression. And that makes it...
Are you freaking kidding me? And this is what Mark Zuckerberg said it as well. Donald Trump is a big defender of free expression. Are you... Seriously? You're going to say that with a straight face? This is the guy who literally sues people for saying things that he doesn't like and threatens to sue just about everybody else. This guy literally sued a pollster for releasing the results of a poll that he didn't like. He's suing CBS because he didn't like the interview that 60 Minutes did with Kamala Harris during the campaign. And this jackass is going to go out in public and actually say that Donald Trump and his administration are big defenders of freedom of expression. Obviously, this man is not stupid. This man is kissing Trump's ass. And that was the marching orders, because this is pretty much verbatim what Mark Zuckerberg said. We got to go out there and kiss Donald Trump's ass. Oh, yes, he's a big defender of free speech. Give me a freaking break. And look, this is the reason why they're all doing it. Now, we could speculate. I don't know exactly, but here's what I think. Maybe there's a little bit of fear of what Donald Trump might do to them if they don't get in line. Maybe they affirmatively support Donald Trump now. But what I really think it is none of that matters. This is the oligarch class doing what the oligarch class does in authoritarian regimes. That's what this is. They are getting in bed with the incoming authoritarian thug president. Because they're not stupid. They may be detestable people. They may be immoral. They may not give a damn about anyone else but themselves. They certainly don't give a damn about the country. But they're not stupid. And they know, because history has shown this time and time again, that in authoritarian regimes, rich people who get in bed with the authoritarian regime are richly rewarded. And it's the rest of us. that will suffer. But the Mark Zuckerbergs of the world, this douchebag here, and all the rest of them, Jeff Bezos, people like that, who get in bed with the regime, they're going to do quite well. They will use their relationship with the regime and with the orange thug to benefit themselves. They will get regulations passed that harm their competitors and help them. They will have regulations removed that harm them. They will get money from the federal government directly for all sorts of pet projects they might want to engage in. So that's what I think this is all about. This is a calculated business decision that we are going to get in bed with this authoritarian Trump regime to our benefit. That's what this is about. Now, let's talk a little bit specifically about this new content moderation policy, which essentially is they're not going to be in the business of moderating content anymore. You can say whatever you want now on Meta-owned properties on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and whatever else they might own. It used to be in the past that they would moderate and take down and would sometimes, ban accounts that pushed dangerous misinformation. Apparently, that's no longer going to be the case for the most part. They indicate that they will still be doing that with respect to, soliciting criminal activity and things like that. But everything else apparently is fair game. Instead, what they're going to do is move to a policy that is like what Elon Musk does with Twitter. And that is a community notes system. So if someone posts misinformation, or as we in the real world call it, lies, then instead of taking that down, they will post a community note underneath correcting the lie. So that's what they're going to do. Now, allowing dangerous propaganda and lies. Oh, and that's not the only thing they're going to do. They're also going to start pushing political content more. Apparently, they've recently, obviously political content has been allowed, but they've not been pushing it in front of everyone with their algorithm. You only really see it if you've indicated you're interested in seeing it. Apparently, that's not going to be the case anymore, and they are going to actively push out political posts a lot more, which I'm sure they were dying to do because political posts get more engagement than other kinds of posts. I mean, try posting, something about a cooking recipe. That's going to get a lot less interaction, a lot less comment, a lot less that kind of thing than if you post some incendiary comment that has to do with politics. That gets people's blood boiling. They interact with the post, and so that's what they want to see. And so that's what they're going to be doing. They're going to be pushing it out more. So when you put those things together, the fact that they are now going to allow whatever kind of lies and propaganda that people want to post, coupled with the fact that they are going to be pushing that out more, it's going to get a lot worse. And the damage that we've seen with social media debasing and doing great damage to our politics, that's only going to get worse. And who do you think that benefits? I mean, obviously this benefits Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans. Why? Because who engages in the most lies and propaganda and misinformation when it comes to politics? Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans. That is their stock in trade. That is what they do. They push conspiracy theories and outright lies. That is why Donald Trump wanted this policy. That is why MAGA Republicans wanted this policy, because they will be able to push their lying propaganda so much more easily now. And that is really, really bad. Now, this is what I think is our bigger problem going forward politically. Obviously, Donald Trump is a serious problem, but he will soon be gone one way or another, either by serving his 4 years or by, something else that removes him from office, potentially a deadly cheeseburger, perhaps. Either way, this is an old, unhealthy man who is not going to be with us for very long. So Donald Trump is not our long-term problem. What I think this election has proven is that our long-term problem is the ignorance and stupidity of the American people. And that is what I think the real problem with all of this is. And it's not just meta properties. It's not just Facebook and Instagram, Threads. It's Twitter. It's TikTok. It's YouTube. It's a lot of these because, look, that is where more and more Americans are getting their news and information from. Less and less does it come from mainstream media outlets. It comes from podcasts. It comes from TikToks. Now, TikTok might not be with us for very long, but there'll be something to take its place because of how profitable and successful that format has proven. If it's not TikTok, it'll be something else, whether it's YouTube Shorts, but I think there'll be something else. Anyway, that's where more and more people get their news and information. And it's so much easier for lies and misinformation and propaganda to spread on those alternative platforms. You know, it used to be, before all this social media, for the most part, we all dealt with the same facts. We all were living in the same reality because we all got our news and information from the same places. There weren't a whole lot of them. There were the main broadcast networks. Then there were a couple of cable news networks. And even in the early days of Fox dealt with facts. It was conservative, to be sure. It wasn't really until the era of Trump where it really became a lying propaganda factory. And there were newspapers and radio. But they, for the most part, were dealing with factual information. They were covering the same stories. Now, they had different editorial positions. They had different political points of view. But at least they were dealing with the same reality. That's not the case anymore. That's why you can't have a reality-based conversation with most Trump supporters. Because they don't live in reality. They live in a world that they created for themselves, an information bubble that they carefully curated by listening only to places that tell them what they want to hear. Which has in turn made these media outlets like Fox News and Newsmax and the podcasts and everything just doubled and tripled down on the lies and the propaganda because that's what their audience wants to hear. And if they don't give them that, their audience will go somewhere else because it's so easy. If you're not telling them on Fox News what they want to hear, the latest conspiracy theory or lies of Donald Trump, if you're not pushing that, they'll leave you and they'll go to Newsmax or they'll go to the podcast who is telling them what they want to hear. Let me remove this jackass from the screen. And so that's the media environment we live in now. And that's only going to get worse. And this recently announced policy change from Meta properties, platforms, it's going to make it worse. Because it is giving free license to the lies and the propaganda, and they're going to push it out even more, which is only going to exacerbate our problem. So long after Trump is gone, we still have a serious problem on our hands. How do you preserve a constitutional republic when you can't even deal with reality? When half the country or more it doesn't even know basic facts about what's actually going on in the world because they only immerse themselves in lies and propaganda. How do you, and these people vote, and they're voting based on lies. How do you maintain a constitutional republic when people vote based on lies? They're not voting on reality. They're not only are they not making an informed vote because these people don't know how anything works, and that's a major problem with our education and all of that. But on top of not understanding the basics of economics or foreign affairs or constitution or any of that stuff, they don't know the basics of what you need to be an informed voter. On top of that, what they are hearing is just pure bullshit. Let me play another clip here. This guy is... I've seen this man before. I recognize him. He's an actor, either current or former, of... what did he appear on? Young and the Restless. I guess a soap opera. His name is Eric, I guess, Braden. I'm not sure how he pronounces his name. Seen this man before. Never watched any of his stuff. But here he is on CNN. I want you to watch this clip. It's 1 minute and 11 seconds, and I think it's worthy of listening to the whole thing. Listen to this guy.
To be very frank with you, I think everyone is really trying to do their damn best, okay? And some idiot, the orange idiot, went on television, your fellow network, and claimed all kinds of things about Newsom and California and the water distribution. All nonsense. Disinformation, period. There's a guy on your show that does fact-checking. I like him a lot. It's a breath of fresh air. Say hello to him. This is very, very good. And what some of these characters are now disseminating on one particular network and on some podcasts is outrageous and very damaging to our nation. This is a great nation. Trust me. I know whereof I speak. I come from a nation that believed in fascist ideology for a while. Okay? And we certainly will not want to go into that again, but we are close to it. Because people want to simplify complex problems. The essence of fascism is to simplify complex problems and feed people who don't have time to read some bullshit. Okay? To be very frank with you.
Yep, sorry about that. Yeah, he nails it. That is a huge problem. That's the problem we find ourselves in. Fascism and authoritarianism thrive in situations in which people don't have the truth, and lies and propaganda are all they are subjected to. Increasingly, that's the society in which we live. That is our big problem. And that is the problem that is exacerbated by this recently announced content moderation policy change from Facebook. This is only going to make it worse. Now, if Democrats get back in the power at some point, they will at some point, hopefully. Hopefully there'll be an end to this MAGA authoritarianism. They're going to have to do some big things. I don't know what the answer to all of this is. I think that one thing that should happen is that these social media platforms should lose their legal protections. Because right now, they are not treated as publishers, like a newspaper. If they tell defamatory lies on CNN or the New York Times or whatever, they can be sued. If they push out damaging misinformation that harms people in some way that could form the basis of a lawsuit, they can be sued. But right now, you can't sue Facebook or Twitter for that kind of thing because they are protected. They are not treated as publishers. You know, basically it's like, hey, we just provide the platform. We can't be held responsible for what people publish on our platform. We just provide the platform. We can change that. And there's been an effort in the past to change that. Now, if you go too far with that, you can absolutely, completely kill social media altogether, and I don't think we want to do that. So I'm not exactly sure where we can land on that, but I think that is something that we should talk about. And if they were exposed to lawsuits for some of the harmful lies and propaganda that their users put out there into the world, they would start moderating. They would start being responsible. But again, we don't want to push it so far that it kills the platform and that, legitimate free speech is prevented. Now, obviously, the First Amendment doesn't apply as against social media companies. I don't want to get down that road. The point is, we want these platforms. We want to be able to engage on these platforms. But we want to be protected both personally and as a nation, as a constitutional republic, from the harm caused by lies. Dangerous lies that undermine our republic. And that's the real problem that Mark Zuckerberg just made a lot worse. And that's our problem going forward as a nation. Donald Trump, it didn't begin with him, but boy, did he ramp it up. He has shown the Republican Party, who has run with it, that you can win by just lying all the time. And that facts don't actually matter. If you have Fox News and Newsmax and OAN and the podcasts and all of that pushing your lies, the truth doesn't matter. Because your audience will never hear the truth. They will just accept as true whatever it is you tell them. And we are suffering the consequences of that. I don't think this election would have gone the way it did if we didn't live in that kind of a media environment where lies and propaganda are so easily pushed out. There's no way. And that's a real problem going forward. Anyway, I think I've spoken enough on this. I think you get the point. Please leave a comment if you have something to say about this. I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Be well, and I'll talk to you again soon.